This is Brian O'Haron speaking with episode 5 of our new program that'll last at least until the public hearing is over. I'm doing this program tonight, spreading the word, number 5, in honor of Tony Cannavo. Tony Cannavo did a lot for this town. He was the head of planning and zoning during the good years when they were trying to develop the town after the flood. We miss Tony. I'll speak more about it later in the program. Tonight, because we are having the public hearing on September 20th, I will first give about 20 minutes of comments, maybe a little more or less, and then I will play the August 8th, 2016 P&Z meeting that talks a bit more about the regulations. This meeting just took place a few days ago, so you will hear some new things, but we're getting towards the end of the information dissemination, so I will play this after I give my comments tonight. Thank you very much. Tonight, I really want to place the emphasis on as many residents and voters and property owners in our town, Winchester, Winston, and the Highland Lake, to really get up to date on what is being proposed in this total rewrite of the planning and zoning regulations. This only happens once in a great while in our town. I think it hasn't happened in over 10 years. My view is we're going backwards, not forwards, because we missed so many opportunities over the years to increase the advantageous portion of our grand list. That is very, very bad for all of us that have lived here and continue to live here, and for those who will live here in the future. This is not a game. This is serious business. This is not politics. This is very serious business. And as you will see on my financial Winston programs that are on Thursday and Friday nights, Thursday at 7:30, Friday at 7, that we really need help here growing the advantageous portion of our grand list. So please pay attention. If you're planning on leaving town for any reason on or about September 20th, maybe you're going to Florida, maybe you're going south, maybe you're going somewhere else, maybe you're going away on business, maybe you're going away on pleasure, I'm asking you to rethink that and stay here to attend the public hearing and speak your piece for everyone that may be affected in one way or another, and that could be everybody in the town, by the result of the public hearing. Because if we can't convince them at the public hearing to balance these regulations, balance them for all residents, taxpayers, and property owners, and business people, then we are going to have a rough time getting all the money we need to redo the roads and bridges and to reclaim a lot of the property around town that needs reclaiming, and to attract new businesses to town that we need very, very greatly, and to attract developments to town that produce a lot of profitable, recurring, advantageous revenue. I don't use the word profitable anymore because profitable is a dirty word with the politicians in Winston that are in power and have been in power most of the time. As I've said on many programs, they're very weak in finance. We have a very weak finance board. We have a weak form of government. And all this has taken its toll on everybody over the years. As of this program, to the best of my knowledge, we still have no credit rating. The fund balance, although it has improved a slight bit, is a long way from being healthy. We haven't got the money we need to spend to keep our town in good shape without heavily affecting the taxpayers. And then you can only do so much of that because the taxpayers can only afford so much. We must think of all the people in the town, not just the people who want to preserve the environment. Many of these people don't even understand how to preserve the environment, and they get caught up in a lot of detail, and they miss the most important things that they have to do. C. Northcote Parkinson, who wrote a book about Parkinson's law, Things Expand to Fit the Space Available, also in the next chapter talked a lot, as I have mentioned before on previous programs, about bicycle shedding. There's a lot of bicycle shedding going on with these regulations and with these leaders in our town. Bicycle shedding means that you deal a lot more with the minute details of issues rather than the big events. I will give you an example. If a lot of people, according to Parkinson, go into a big meeting and they have to talk about a very big expenditure, like redoing all the roads in town, that won't take much time because not many people can grasp the importance of it and the enormity of it. These roads were built for 80 factories and horse and carriages and people walking to work and back and to pleasure and back and to stores and back and to schools and back and to church and back. And now, if you have to replace roads and bridges, you have to replace them with a lot of state and taxpayer money, which comes with conditions. You must build these roads and bridges to withstand great weight of the big trucks that we have nowadays riding around our town and city. Now, the next agenda item might be, let's put a new roof on the bicycle shed out in back of Town Hall. Well, that discussion will last 2 hours, maybe 3. And the reason for that is because everybody knows something about bicycle sheds. We need a new roof. No, we don't. Let's have a tile roof. No, let's have a wooden roof. Let's have a tar roof. Let's not have a bicycle shed at all. Let's eliminate bicycle sheds. Let's never build a bicycle shed again. Let's have bigger windows in the bicycle shed. Let's not have any doors on the bicycle shed. Let's not have any walls on the bicycle shed. And they'll argue and they'll go around and around and around. It'll take 2 or 3 hours. That's called bicycle shedding. And that's what we do with our P&Z regulations. We worry about somebody going 1 foot closer to their neighbor, or putting a little roof over their entry and exit stairs to protect them from the snow and the ice in the winter, or letting them put a little roof in but no poles to hold it up nice and sturdy, etc., etc., etc. Put a roof over your front porch? Oh no, you can't do that. The neighbors might not like it, and it might be bad for the environment because the water doesn't get a chance to get down to the ground quickly and filter itself before it gets to the lake. Now, there's a lot of hoo-ha and all this kind of stuff, and these people are all amateurs. When we were doing the 660-acre project that was going to produce millions of dollars in advantageous revenue for the town to fix its roads, bridges, etc., all the consultants, including Yale consultants that were hired by both the people in favor of the project and others were hired by people against the project, but they all agreed. And I went to every meeting but one over the years. They all agreed, these experts, that that development was not going to hurt the wells on Highland Lake. It was not going to hurt the Cannavo Spring. And it was not going to hurt Highland Lake and any of the rest of the environment, providing it was done with safe practices. And measuring instruments were going to be placed around the lake to keep an eye on it over the years to see what was happening. So, that's called bicycle shedding. When you spend all your time on the minute details and do not have enough focus on the real big, important issues that we're facing in our town. So that's why I think it's important for each of you to understand these regulations, even if you have to talk to an engineer, even if you have to talk to a lawyer and get their input. Now, the town and city, and I guess all governments, always put the burden on you. You have to go do the research in the town hall. You have to hire an engineer to brief you on the law and what you can and can't do. And they often can't find out themselves because when they go to meetings, the first thing they're told is that they don't have the information they're supposed to have when they come to the meeting. Now, I think that's going to be improved a little, but Steve Sadlowski, the planning director, can only do so much. He has to stay within the law and within the rules. And if the rules and law don't allow him to give out enough information and prepare people, then he can't do it. He also might not have the budget enough to do it. That's another issue. They want you to hire your own lawyer. That all costs money. Whenever I go to the planning and zoning or inland wetland commissions, I always hire a good lawyer, and I always hire a good engineer. And many builders tell me they won't even go for permits. They want me to go for the permits because they don't want to sit through long, boring meetings where people are bicycle shedding and they're wasting their time. And also that would be very expensive for the property owner, like me. So there is a tendency to load down the property owners with the responsibility to get the knowledge they need when they come to the meetings and to prepare themselves for the meetings. I recently put in an FOI for certain information from the town, and they told me they don't have it. It's not readily available. It would take many, many, many hours to get it. And they put the burden on me to go and search through the files in the town hall for many years of information, or go on the website and find it. But that would take me hours, weeks, and months to do, and by then the public hearing will be over. We also asked for a black line comparison between the existing regs and the new proposed, totally rewritten regulations that we will be discussing at the public hearing on September 20th. They told us we can't get a black line comparison because if we did, everything would be a black line because the proposed regulations have been totally rewritten. So as a result, we have given up on the FOI request because that would take too long and be too expensive to get all the information together in a short period of time. And we've given up with a request for a black line because, again, that would take a long time, cost a lot of money, and not be worth it, I don't think. We are now listening to past sessions of the Planning and Zoning Commission provided to me by the planning director over the last few weeks that talked about the regulations, and we're beginning to ask questions of the planning director concerning the new proposed regulations and differences between that and the old regulations. We are also asking about the meaning of certain terms in the proposed regulations, and Steve Sedlowski, the planning director, has been providing us with answers by email that I am distributing to my distribution list that I put together when a past mayor said that she didn't think that people on the lake should vote for taxes anymore because a good percentage of them weren't here year-round and didn't really know what was going on in the town. So I began to send information out with their permission to this distribution list of people that spent winters away from Winsted so they would be able to keep up on the events that were taking place while they were away for the winter. I sent them newspaper articles, links to selectmen meetings and other important meetings in town, and all kinds of information. I don't do it as much anymore. I did it for many years. But I do send out things at times like this when there's major events happening in our town and city, so they are aware and they can participate if they desire in budget votes and things like these public hearings, and protect their own interests and the interests of their family, future owners of their property, friends, neighbors, relatives, etc., concerning their property at Highland Lake. Under both the current regulations and the proposed total rewrite of the current planning and zoning regulations, everyone is encouraged to ask for exceptions to the rules, but in most cases you will be denied. In some you might get by. If you are denied, then you have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals, which even one or two of the people on planning and zoning don't understand, according to some of the meeting voice recordings that I've been listening to, because you have to have a hardship at the Zoning Board of Appeals, and there is no definition of what a hardship is. Depends on who you are, who you know, how many lawyers you have, how many engineers you have, how good your developer is. That's what you need. The burden of proof is always placed on the property owner, citizens and residents, because that is a way of delaying development. That is a way of saving money in the town and pushing it off onto everyone else to attend these meetings and interrupt their business and personal life to attend these meetings. They at least have the right information with them. Now, often, to get this right information, they have to employ an engineer and get legal advice, and perhaps even bring the engineer and legal advisor to the meeting, which costs a lot of money, to help them get their project approved, to help them get their permits, and to help them get their occupancy documents. Once their project is complete. Now the regulation parts of the last P&Z meeting, August 8th. This will begin with the planning director, Steve Sedlowski, mentioning the 35 or so questions that he received by email from people at Highland Lake. I sent many of these questions, passed them on from people who asked me the questions to pass on, and other people probably contacted Steve directly with questions. So I'll play the meeting now. I'll probably make a few comments at the end, if there is time. Here we go.
Well, I got about 35 emails, but I won't show you all those. If you're interested, then come see that. Please look at them. Questions on the lake. But that's not to you, that's to me.
Okay. I think moving on to the most important aspect of our meeting tonight is the review of the draft zoning regulations, and I really would like to see us come with common ground to establish the 20th, I believe, of September for our public hearing. I spent the weekend going over this. I had 3 different copies. I've got, this is May 20th, and in my bag I have the one from Mark Rouse.
Yes, Branson. Yeah.
Branson, is that far?
Branson,
Yeah. I went through and checked as much as I could remember. It seemed like many of the things that we had decided to change and we've had discussions about have been accommodated. I'm not trying to speak for the group. I think
I have a little list here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Kind of the highlights that I remembered what was changed.
Right.
In addition to what we already talked about, it was already the old draft.
Does anyone have any comments or critiques or whatever?
I have a couple of things. Just on that first paragraph, Steve, where you got split offices, office business and office professional.
Yeah.
There's a couple places where we've got large format or smaller format, and it's like below 5,000, over 5,000.
Right.
We should say 0 to 5,000 and then above it, because you're leaving 5,000 out technically.
I forget what I just left the same definition that you used last time.
Yeah, but that's, the way you've got it here is the way it's written. It's over or under 5,000. So if it's under 5,000 and then over 5,000, I think we should go 0 to 5,000 and then over 5,000 is the next.
For 5,000 and over, or something like that.
Yeah, or whatever way, just so we collect it all.
Where does that go? What page?
Well, it's in a few places where we had like the, I think the grocery store, large format, or that type of thing.
Look at the definitions under like office
That's what I thought.
in the very back. Yeah, pretty far to the back. look under office or medical. You can see the retail, come look at that.
I got other, I don't want to take somebody else's spot for this.
Go for it.
We did say that we're going to go back to the original measurement of height, so it's going to be the mean. And I think there's still a conflict in the packet that you gave us. There's at least one, but I'll go through it. But this is on page 3. It says measuring the height using the vertical discipline. This says to the highest point of the roof. So that's not in harmony with what we talked about. Change it back to.
Oh, okay, I missed that one. All right, I can change that.
I think that's the only one that's out of sync with, you know, what you said you were going to go back to.
Yeah, I just didn't know it was there as well.
On the town center on page 8, now you've addressed this here with regards to separating based on size for medical office, office professional, and so forth, and clinic. But frankly, I'm a little concerned because of what I observed when I wasn't on the board, but they talked about the medical, the marijuana dispensary. And I wonder, and just to get everybody's opinion, but to take clinic out of this for a permitted use and put anything that's got clinic in it into a special permit, so you're dealing with the life safety, the whole issue of access, security, the whole business that we deal with some of the potential, you know, right now we're into methadone type clinics that are popping up, and we need to have it available to the population, but I think we've got to be careful that we don't just stick one into, you know, a building that's a small concept, and then we've got things that might be counterproductive for people to attend it because of it's what you're going there for specifically, and maybe there's a little restraint in their minds because of embarrassment possibly. You know,
Well, it is a special permit use now.
well,
Marijuana.
well, that's I'm not talking marijuana. I'm talking about we've got under
Methadone?
uses the medical office or clinic, small format. That's in permitted uses. What I'm suggesting is we eliminate the clinic from that definition and put that over into the special permit column.
Right.
That makes sense to me.
So are you worried about the methadone stuff or?
Well, you know,
Because that I made, so that could only be done, I changed the definition, so that could only be in a large format. Medical center.
Yeah, you take that for
Okay.
a large hospital
Yeah,
center.
it can only be in a medical, whatever you call it, the large medical office or clinic,
Okay,
large
so-
format. That's
so
the only
you-
place where it can be. It's in the, look in the definitions.
But you didn't pull it out of here. You said clinic or clinic small format, so you
Yeah,
still.
yeah, but it's not, but if you look at definitions, under medical
Clinic?
clinic, large format, the last sentence, methadone clinic shall be allowed as an accessory use.
Well,
If you look under small format, methadone clinic shall not be allowed as an accessory use.
Okay, but
But that's just methadone, but if it's like abortion clinic or mental health clinic or anything small, just saying, let us get them out of let's take a look at it in a special permit instead of a blanket.
Okay, if you want to just get rid of clinic altogether.
That makes sense.
and I'm thinking that right now we're discussing methadone clinics, but who knows in 3 years or something that's why I think this special purpose of a clinic should be handled appropriately so that there's, you know, appropriate parking, security, setting, and so forth so it's a successful operation, not something that is avoided because it's too visible or too obvious. That, you know, I wouldn't want to. If I was going through a thing with drug treatment, and I'm walking up Main Street to go into one of these things, and I see my neighbor, I think I might avoid going into the clinic for being identified as one of the people that need this assistance. And I think we need to have the environment so that we really get the services to the people that need it without a stigma attached to it. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
So just take off clinic.
Put clinics
Under
in,
special.
under special permit. Then it covers, whatever clinics are involved. And if it's a small format or large format, but if it fits in the town center or whatever zone we've got these things in, it's got appropriate evaluation because it requires a special, permit of hearing, et cetera, notifications.
Right. Because when we were going through that with the dispensary, there was, including Art's wife, there was a lot of comment on that, so that would give the ability to have that.
Well, that's my suggestion, so if we're gonna, we should make a determination as we go through this, if we're gonna change it or leave it, then we can move on.
There are some smaller clinics that, sometimes they call it a dental clinic or a chiropractic, sometimes they call it a clinic. It's not just a doctor's office, they do maybe minor procedures. Sometimes they do eye, what do you call it? They may call that a clinic too, like a, basically do LASIK, or something like that.
Yeah, mental health clinics also.
Yeah.
Mental health clinic could be small.
Right.
So it kicks all those into special exception, which, it is what it is, but
I think we should take a look at them under special permit. I just go back to even the safety in a small clinic format. Take a look how they're going to do it if they're dispensing drugs or like an abortion clinic. There's certain
Yeah.
danger, not just the person walking in having a stigma, but just securities around the small clinic. It seemed to be easier to just move the clinic over to special, and you can just grease it through and let it go, but not leave it on the side where we don't have to
if
look
you want,
at
it's
it.
no big, we can do it if you want to do it.
That's
Well,
my
why don't you
opinion.
just see
That
how we all
agreement?
feel about it?
Yeah.
I
Okay,
agree with it.
what's the consensus?
I think we should move clinic to special.
Is a special permit?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's unanimous, so moved.
Same thing under the town gateway.
Yeah, all the zones,
Yeah.
yeah.
But on page 9, on the top right, we've got special permit. It says vehicle sales and service pleasure. Did we define? Because you got vehicle sales and service professional. What's the difference? That's really a definition, so if
Yeah,
it's not in
there's no
there, we
definition,
can just
so-
pick that up, Steve. Production and industry, or innovation, on page 10. Up in the middle of the paragraph, fourth line down. Devoted
I'm sorry,
to
where are
these-
you? Page what?
On page 10, PI.
Yeah.
In the fourth line down, you've got devoted to these uses along the Still and Mad Rivers. Is that description appropriate for where we've got it anchored up in the north end of town? Because it's not anchored along those two rivers anymore.
Traditionally devoted.
So it's okay, because we're saying it was devoted here, but what are we gaining in the description by doing that?
So in other words, it's saying, historically, they were along the rivers, but now we're allowing them in this other spot.
All
as
right,
well.
I'm not trying to be picky about it. When I was reading it, I'm thinking, we're not, I'm being
No, I
picky.
think you should be. I think it's great.
And I think we did discuss this under PI and special permit. We've got motor vehicle fuels, this is in special permit, motor vehicle fuel sales with convenience retail. And
Yeah, that shouldn't be in there.
yeah, and this restaurant, high turnover, fast food, and then we got school and you got worship place. Are those, I don't think they're appropriate for production innovation. Do you?
No, and I thought we had taken those out, but
Well, I think we had discussed about it, yeah, so we should
No.
take those out.
all these versions I can't keep straight.
Yeah, well,
Something, it might not have been accepted, or who knows, it's fine, we can get rid of that.
okay.
So we're taking out motor vehicle fuel sales with convenience.
We got, in the middle of that special permit, Art, we've got motor vehicle fuel sales with convenience retail, and then down at the bottom, you've got 3 items: restaurant, high turnover, fast food, school, and worship place.
So we're taking all of
Taking
them out.
those out.
Okay.
And that vehicle thing appears there, I thought I read somewhere. Oh, yeah, they are defined on page 147. So personal,
Oh, they are, okay.
the facility for the sale or rental of automobiles, typical sales.
Okay,
place.
as long as it's in there.
Oh, pleasure is like motorhomes, RVs, campers, boats, things like that.
Okay, all right.
And the professional is tractors, construction equipment, agricultural equipment. Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Okay.
Things that professionals would use.
I get carried away, I can do something, made a note, and I didn't pick it up later on. Okay, page 16, the Highland Lake Business District. Down at the bottom of special permit, everything's special permit. But on that right or left-hand column, you got mixed-use building. Does everybody agree to have a mixed-use building? And
Well, that's defined that it only can be mixed use of what's allowed in the zone. It's not necessarily residential, and which is kind of funny definition, but mixed use building, a building or defined area in which a combination of uses that are permitted uses or allowed as special permit. So I guess somebody could do a marina and a retail or whatever. I don't know if you really need that, but
Retail and gas, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
so
food, pub, and banquet, they could mix. They
rather
could do that
than
anyway.
rather than residential and
Yeah, it probably doesn't even need to be in there because it's really not. That's the general understanding of what mixed use is.
It's just, that's what I mean, that's what triggered my thought, is because we've got an interest in doing
Right.
something, and I don't think
But
we're.
there's no residential proposed to be allowed there.
Okay,
And I don't know if that's what you want. I think it was, but
well, you didn't want residential there and that,
yeah.
it's there now, but,
Well, actually, I don't think it is.
I think the areas we specified were
you
commercial
went around
currently,
it. Okay,
or currently
For
commercial.
the most part, not all, yeah. And that's the other thing, when I was making that zone, that could be made bigger, because right behind, I guess it's like a little store, that little one-floor store, behind that is actually
Yeah.
all that stuff on Rockwell. And you could almost carry that over and do that whole area in that zone, which might not, if you look at the map, we could I can even go print something out quick, but it might not be a bad idea to do that. Kind of bring that all into that
go
zone.
down to Rockwell?
Yeah, it's right behind.
I know, but I think, part of it, we're trying to start improving the local neighborhoods, because we've got so much industrial that's spotted around that is not, helpful.
But that wouldn't be industrial, that would be Highland Lake business.
Oh, I understand, but
So it could
I
be-
think, the way I look at it is, we need to have some commercial, limited commercial on Island Lake. With the amount of activity we have, the people that live there, we should have boat sales, we should be able to dispense fuel for the
Restaurant,
boats,
hotel.
restaurant, hotel,
Bed,
like we
breakfast,
described it. But I don't think I'd get carried away and go down, because I think that's a good response, because we didn't permit industrial in it. We got
It
industrial.
just opens
there.
up some more land for something a little bit bigger. And a lot of that land is vacant.
Yeah, but still, then it should be more residential that way. Our gateway has got a huge amount of land that's available in all our gateway avenues. Okay, building height on page 119. The shortest vertical distance that is between the grade to the highest point of the flat or mansard roofs, including the top of the parapet, or to the ridge for gable, hip, and gambrel roofs, plus 5 feet.
That's another place where it's gonna get changed. Yeah.
133, the offices, professional, large format, that's the same thing on that in small format, just so that we include, the
Yeah, the
5,000.
5,000, yeah.
Same issue.
Anyone else have, Peter?
I think it's great. I mean, it's
You
big
comfortable with it?
improvement, big improvement from what we've got.
You comfortable with
Yes.
it?
As far as all the fire
Yeah.
prevention, everything?
Yeah,
Well, we're doing that
we talked about that, that's
subdivision.
gonna go into subdivision
Yeah.
regulations
Subdivision.
later. Let's
Okay.
get this taken care of, done first before we
We-
jump into something else. Huh? Just
You have any
confuses the
other
issue.
comments?
The last meeting, we brought up a point about the rural banquet
Oh, right,
facilities.
yes.
Yep.
And did we just leave that open-ended, or do we move it out of there?
We shouldn't leave it open because we know what's going to be going up there pretty soon. Or it's
In general,
in general, I realize
General,
that.
having banquet facilities permitted without a special permit or anything in the rural zone district.
It's allowed by special permit.
And allowed by special permit.
Permit.
Move it over there. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest things there, we've got to look at the water, sewage disposal, parking, things like
Yeah,
that.
how you got to impact the neighborhood.
Right, commercial work.
That's the big thing.
grease pit,
Because where he has problems there with parking, so.
Yeah.
the grease pit's now are 1,000-gallon tanks by state regs.
Even bigger.
Health department.
But the other thing is special treatment of, like what they've had going on with the bears, with the neighbor there, seeing, the tearing the thing apart because they don't secure the lids on the dumpsters and so forth.
Yeah, that's a problem with bears there.
Yeah.
Big time.
All right, that was all, to see if it moved from special permit instead of just permitted use.
Barbara, do you have any?
No,
comments?
I'm impressed with the work that was done by all of you. It was impressive and national.
permitted discussion? Are you on the agenda?
I'm a liaison.
You are more than welcome to participate.
George, you were bringing up page 133, the definitions there. Office, professional, large, and small format. And I know you delineate a lot of things in there. And I'm not sure that you need to delineate everything. But there were two additions that I was just wondering if it would be necessary to add to that or not. One would be, because I come from that, an employment agency. It's not listed, but there are conditions that maybe it could be defined under one of those. And also a newspaper office that could be in a small or large format. Not sure you want to delineate everything, but just a suggestion of those two additional usages.
Well, you've got the description, Jack, of the provides professional, executive, management, or administrative services. And that just gives such as, so it's got some examples, but
It's just a question of, do you need to delineate everything?
no.
No.
I think
Such as,
Yeah, such as gives us the opportunity to say there's a similarity there, and this way it's not, because if we didn't say such as, and we just listed them, then because of omission, they're not permitted. So when you do such as, you're basically giving the opportunity to make interpretation of similarity. Because the way all of these things, if it's not specifically listed, it's not permitted, unless we do what Steve has actually, how he's phrased this, or Sean, when we got these things. But that's a good point, but I think we've got the latitude of,
Just questioning, does it give you the latitude
Yes.
of those particular types of usages to be incorporated?
yes.
Since we seem to be all in accord
kind of,
Consulting office.
with the acceptance
Yeah.
of these regs as presented, I would recommend that we make the few changes that were evidenced tonight.
So the
I would also like to see that our wishes are conveyed to Sean, that we expect something more than somebody just standing up there and doodling. I think he could, for the amount of money we spent, that we could have some, visual aids.
he was going to do a PowerPoint.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I just wanted to, but I just would, I don't, the 20th has been, fine for me. I'll make sure I'm here. I'm sure it's going to be interesting.
Mark Brands can't be at that meeting either, but that's, I think, a good meeting to get things out on the table, get concerns. If we have questions, we can either ask him in writing or he can come to the following meeting.
You can continue the public hearing to another meeting.
Yeah, we're never going to get done in a meeting. I can't imagine that happening. I'd be very surprised.
But I think, from Sean's going to formulate his outline how he's going to do this, but it would seem that there's got to be the rationale that he used to give us, because it's his basic structure.
Yeah.
And then how we fit into it with regards to making it real local impact. And then once everything is reviewed and done with your participation and Pam's proofreading and Pam's input, the other part of it is, how does everybody that owns property, how do they interpret the implications to the personal, changes of these? Because now we've got 8 zones instead of 7. So will we have an opportunity to see a draft of how he plans to do this, you think? So we can.
He's working on it. He was going to come earlier in that day.
Good.
So we could look at it then and then, go through it, tweak it or whatever. Trying to get the music room up at Pearson. They would get back to me, but if that doesn't work, then I can probably go up to Gilbert. We'll find a place somewhere to meet and get that set up.
Can we get it filmed so that it can be attached to, or is that necessary or not a good idea?
You know what, I think that's an
We'll probably
excellent
can.
idea.
Yeah, we probably can.
I think that'd be good for a record anyways.
Maybe 30 will show up, right?
No, but we've got to be prepared.
Okay,
But
yeah.
you don't want to shift.
Sean's not going to come back again, so
Yeah.
we don't want him to come back.
Right.
That's good. I think we're ready to go.
Yahoo.
And then also the maps, to accept those, because that's going to be part of the package too. You've got to adopt those as well.
Yep.
That's part of this process.
So we should get up and view them.
You should review them and
Take a
see
look
if
at it
you
and
agree
see.
with them and if there's any issues, changes. We put the Highland Lake Business District in there as kind of an orange, I think, on the map on the left, which is Winston Center.
How'd you like that, Tony? Well, that was the last P&Z normal commission meeting on August 8th, 2016, where they confirmed a date, as you heard, for the public hearing. And they went through a lot of bicycle shedding with a few important issues also explained in the meeting. I edited that down. I got out a lot of the chatter, noise of the microphones banging around, people talking over each other and things like that. To the best I could, there's still a bit in there. But anyway, now we have to concentrate on the public hearing, getting prepared for the public hearing, and making sure that anybody in town, Winchester, or at the lake, that wants any work to be done on a house over the next 10 years, to pay particular attention to this public hearing and these new proposed, totally written regulations. What I suggest you do, if you have any questions at all, is go see Stephen Sedlowski, who's the planning director. He will answer all your questions for you, and if he can't answer them, he will get the answers from whoever he needs to get the answers from, and he will try to help you. He may have to send you to others. Mark Belansing, the building inspector, or anybody else in town who might have the answer to your questions. He might even recommend an engineer, and he might recommend an attorney to help you get through this long, complicated, difficult process. Now, it does seem that most of the problems that come up have to do with the smaller issues, like adding a little roof over your porch, put a few posts in the cement to hold your roof up, or in the ground to hold your roof up, being a couple inches closer to one of your neighbors, that kind of thing. But Steve Sedlowski can help you with those issues. So please show up for the public hearing. Please ask a lot of questions beforehand and get prepared for the public hearing. Steve Sadlowski's office is in the town hall. You can get him there. I'll keep forwarding information to you, at least until the new, totally rewritten proposed regulations are finished and approved. And then I will not do the program anymore. Let somebody else handle the future. So pay attention. Winsted, it's your town. Pay attention to these commissions. Now tonight, as I told you earlier, I have dedicated this program to the honor of Anthony J. Tony Cannavo, who taught me a lot. I returned here when I retired in 2002 to our house at Highland Lake on West Wakefield Boulevard. Tony was very interested in continuing to improve the revenue and input into the town to help us pay for all the infrastructure we need to keep up to date and up to speed, and all the contamination that needs to be removed one way or another. Tony was all over the place. He helped get the college started. He was involved in many commissions and committees over the years. He was a Democrat, but he was a financially conservative Democrat who wanted to see the town grow and things improve, and he believed in balanced. So he did a lot. And 22 years ago, he helped to get into the regulations section 10.6 that helped all the non-conforming property owners throughout the town, lake, and Winchester. We can thank Tony for that good 22 years there, and let's hope we can continue it one way or another with this new group that's running planning and zoning, which is heavily loaded with environmental protectionists, and we don't seem to have, they're extremists, by the way. A lot of them don't even know what they're talking about environmental protection. Often the experts prove them wrong after a lot of delaying and a lot of arguing, a lot of spending of everybody's money. So they're not perfect. You got to challenge them. If you don't want to live with poor regulations for 10 more years, then you should pay attention. If you are a property owner or a future property owner, or even a past property owner that's trying to help your friends, neighbors, relatives, etc. This is really, as I said earlier in the program, this is business. If we don't balance the budget, if we don't get more advantageous revenue coming into the grand list, then we're going to have a lot of high mill expenditure over the next 10 years. We do have the whole infrastructure to do over again. We do have all kinds of expenses coming up. Salaries go up every year. That's a good deal of the budget. The school budget keeps going up all the time. Unfunded mandates, strongest union in the country. All kinds of things like that. So we need to pay attention to this, like Tony did. When Tony was here, he spent a lot of his free time trying to help the town one way or another. He did win an award. I went to the dinner from the governor of the state when he was alive. There's a plaque hanging on the wall in his Cannavo building on Route 8. He was good to everybody. He helped get the first two history books rewritten, when not rewritten, but republished as paperbacks. He paid for that, and then they sold them to people. I bought a whole bunch of them to give out to various town commission members and the mayor and all kinds of people. Can't seem to find any of them anymore. I think I gave some to the libraries too, because I was trying to spread the word at the time that Tony was right about growing the grand list, the advantageous parts of the revenue, the parts that people pay money into, more money than we need to support those people. For example, if they're a business, they pay money in, and that's all very advantageous for the town. So we need businesses. This group is now limiting the factories by putting in a small industrial zone, when we should be growing the factories, clean factories, factories that do things without polluting the environment. We should go out looking for those and try to entice them into our town. Things like that. So anyway, we need to try to help Tony, even though he's not around to help us. We need to help Tony make sure that these new regulations, totally rewritten, cover the nonconforming people in a comfortable manner. I always tell people they should listen to this song, There's No Place Like Home, although I don't think Tony was Sicilian. It's based upon a Sicilian tune. Found that out once when I went up to see my daughter at Smith College. I went into a bookstore. I was looking through the music books, and there I saw the original tune for Home Sweet Home. So in Tony's honor, I'm going to play this song tonight on my accordion. Thanks, Tony, for all you did for the town. Tony was a very good businessman. He was very quiet, just the opposite of the current chairman of Planning and Zoning. There were no histrionics. Everything was handled in a very, very, very businesslike manner. Very professional. And with Ray Carpentino providing him with the materials, they were very well organized meetings. And he listened carefully. He asked only a few questions. He sought the advice of the other commissioners, and then he made a professional decision. It was very professional, handled it like a business, and he really helped the town to improve a lot while I was here anyway, and saw him in action on the commissions. There was no bicycle shedding at Tony's meetings. Everyone was fully prepared by Ray Carpentino, and no bicycle shedding was allowed. Thanks for all you've done, Tony. The knowledgeable people in the town of Winchester, city of Winsted, thank you very much, and often say that we could sure use Tony now, with the pickle we're in financially. Most appreciate everything you did to help the town while you were alive. You can continue to rest in peace. You certainly deserve it.